Madam Clerk?
Okay. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-6 et sec. Notice of which was sent to the record in the Star Ledger and was posted on the municipal bulletin board. Pursuant to Open Public Meeting Act and recent regulations issued by the state of New Jersey, the following procedures will be in effect for public comment during this remote public meeting of the City Council. The public shall have an opportunity for comment during the designated public portion of this meeting. The time period for public comment is limited to 3 minutes for each speaker, and no person may address the council more than once, except for speaking during an advertised public hearing for an ordinance. At the time designated for public comment, the mayor or other presiding officer of the council will recognize one speaker at a time. That speaker must identify himself or herself by full name and whether or not he or she resides in Hackensack. No other member of the public is permitted to speak unless recognized by the presiding officer, and the remote attendees may be muted during that time if necessary to eliminate background noise. Meeting attendees shall exhibit appropriate demeanor during this meeting as required by Section 37-15 of the City Code. In the event any member of the public becomes disruptive at any time, that individual may be muted by the presiding officer and will receive a warning that continued disruption may result in being prevented from speaking or removed from the meeting entirely. The Zoom meeting platform has a texting function. However, this is to be used only for the purpose of advising the city's IT staff of any technical concerns or issues. The public may also submit written public comment to be audibly read into the record by the city clerk during the public portion of any remote public meeting of the City Council. Comments can be submitted by regular mail or by email to asaby@hackensack.org. Comments received less than 5 hours before the start of a meeting may be carried to the next meeting. Any person who actually speaks during the public comment portion of a remote public meeting may not also have a comment read into the record. The city clerk will stop reading a written comment into public record once it reaches the 3-minute limit. Duplicate written comments may be summarized and noted for the record in a consistent manner.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Here.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Here.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Here. Would everybody please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to the republic
Republic,
for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all. Okay, thank you. Okay, before we move forward, it was a rough week for our Hackensack family last week. Unfortunately, we lost one of our firefighters. Lieutenant Timothy Rice lost his battle with cancer early Saturday morning. Tim was diagnosed with cancer, I believe, back in December. It was unexpected. Tim was a young man. He was 42 years old with a family, 2 young children, 11 and 13 years old. It's a rough time for everybody. His Hackensack family, his Paramus family, where he grew up, and his Emerson family, where he lives now. Our condolences go out to his entire family and all his friends, fellow firefighters, and he's in our prayers. May he rest in peace. So I'd like a moment of silence, please. Thank you. There's no minutes to approve. There's no presentation, so we'll go right to the city manager's report. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I would also like to take a moment to express my heartfelt condolences to the Rice family and the Hackensack Fire Department during this difficult time. I know Lieutenant Rice was a respected lieutenant, friend, and brother to the Hackensack community. May he rest in peace. Now for the city manager's report. City offices are open to the public as of June 1st. Residents will be required to wear a mask where proper separation is not available. Our reorganization meeting is scheduled for July 1st at 2 p.m. at the Hackpack building. This is by invitation only and masks are required indoors. Zoom information will also be provided on our website. The city's inaugural Juneteenth event is scheduled for this Saturday, June 19th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Carver Park. Please join us for the flag raising at 10 a.m. and the community event throughout the day. Our first drive-in movie of this summer is on June 17th. It's a Lilo and Stitch, and there are very limited tickets left. So if you're interested, please go to our website at hackensack.org or hackpack.org to reserve your tickets. Please be reminded that the city is not hosting a 4th of July celebration and fireworks event this year. We will be having our summer concert series beginning July 13th. Many other summer events are scheduled, such as drive-in movies, Shakespeare in the Park, and sunset yoga. So please refer to our website for more details. Beginning July 19th, in-person council meetings will resume at City Hall. Zoom access will still be available on our website for residents that wish to participate via Zoom. The City of Hackensack is hosting our Shred event this Saturday, June 19th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Sears parking lot. Also, our annual Fallen Firefighters Memorial will be on July 1st at 6 p.m. at Firefighters Memorial Park. The Hackensack Police Department is hosting our 20th Youth Academy from August 23rd to the 27th. Applications are available at our police department or on our website. I have an update for you regarding our intersection of Summit and Passaic Street. The crosswalks, stop bars, and arrows have been repainted for improved visibility. And we also did the intersection of Prospect and Passaic Street. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Okay, so resolution 228-21.
No, Mayor, we have to do the public hearing for the Main Street Alliance
Oh, I'm
budget.
sorry.
That's right.
My
I think
bad.
Patrice should be here.
Patrice on?
Yep, I'm going to promote her as a panelist right now.
Okay.
So Patrice is on.
Okay,
Hello, everyone. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for the opportunity to participate tonight.
Okay, so before we open to the public, is there anything you'd like to say?
I just wanted to, as I have historically in the past, thank the City Council and the residents of Hackensack, the merchants, property owners of Main Street, for their dedicated loyalty and commitment to vision for the reawakening of Main Street. We are now seeing the fruits of our labor. It is a beautiful stretch of roadway, and you can feel the energy that is now happening on the sidewalks and the streets of Main Street and its offshoot streets. The Main Street Business Alliance continues its mission to promote the business community of Main Street in Hackensack and to welcome our new residents that have already moved into the new buildings and will continue to move into the new buildings throughout this year and into 2022. We welcome all residents of Hackensack, all residents of Bergen County to come and enjoy and participate in what is now truly a vibrant retail destination in Bergen County. And we're all very, very proud of what Hackensack has been able to accomplish. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrice. Appreciate it. So with that, I need a motion to open to the public, the
Offer.
public hearing, Street Business Alliance.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims,
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia,
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Anybody from the public who would like to speak about the Main Street Business Alliance and only about the Alliance budget, please come forward and give your name to the clerk. You will have 3 minutes.
We have a hand raised. I do want to mention that if you'd like to speak, raise your hand. It's the bottom right option. And if you're a call-in user, dial *9. And I'm going to allow the first person to speak. So Tony,
Okay.
you are able to speak.
Go ahead, Tony. Can you hear us? Tony?
Still on mute.
Yep, I asked them to unmute, so it's kind of up to them at this point. There was another
Tony,
hand
if you
raised
can
at, there was another hand raised at one point. I'm not sure if they're. Oh, okay. Tony is able to speak now.
I do not have a question.
Yes. Hello?
Do not have a question.
Go ahead.
I think she's saying she doesn't have a question. Maybe it was a mistake that she raised her hand.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else in the public would like to speak? Please raise your hand. Or if you're on your phone, please press *9.
There's no more hands raised.
Okay. Need a motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Okay. So with that, we need to vote. Are we motion on the budget?
We have, that's within the resolution, so now we can just start with the ordinance.
We can start. Okay. So we are going to remove from the table Resolution 228-21. I need a motion to remove it from the table, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Okay, let's do Resolution 228-21.
It's a resolution for the adoption of ordinance number 24-2021, an ordinance amending City of Hackensack redevelopment plan governing the Main Street area in need of rehabilitation. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for public hearing.
Need a motion to open to the public, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Okay, anybody who'd like, from the public who would like to speak to this ordinance and this ordinance only, please give your name to the clerk. Or raise your hand, please.
There are no hands raised.
Okay, need a motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 24-2021 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 229-21.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance 25-2021, a bond ordinance providing for the construction of the Johnson Park Sports Facility buy-in in the City of Hackensack in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, appropriating $11,500,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $8,750,000 bonds or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
All right, it was $8,075,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have a glare because I turned the light on in here and I have a glare and I couldn't see the numbers. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make the record. I need a motion to open to the public, correct?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Anybody from the public who would like to speak to this ordinance and this ordinance only, please give your name to the clerk. Raise your hand, please, on your device or press *9.
All right, this is Victor from Hackensack. I want to speak to this fiasco of this $11 million soccer field. Do we really need an $11 million soccer field in Hackensack? That is the question. I mean, only thing can be done in a soccer field is play soccer. It's not for everyone. And we're going to spend over $11 million for this? That's what we know of right now. With the current way of material continue to climb, it's going to be well over $11 million. Why are we doing this? It makes no sense that we spend all this money on a soccer field. Please, somebody help me with this. What else are we going to be able to do other than play soccer at this field? Please tell me. There ain't gonna be no basketball. There ain't gonna be no track. It's not gonna be no swimming. What else will we be able to do there? Please, I'm asking you, what will we be else to do there?
All right, I'll answer this. You can wrestle in there. You can do baseball drills in there. You can have baseball pitching machines. You can have batting cages. You can have volleyball inside of there. You can play football as long as there's no punting, which is great for our junior football teams. These fields can be used for multi-purpose fields, and that's what they're going to be used for. It's not just for soccer.
So you saying, John, I mean, you saying that they're being allowed to play football in this stadium? Or this?
They can practice in there, and possibly the C team, which is the smaller team, possibly could play games in there with the length of the field. So, because they use an 80-yard field on a 100-yard field. So yes, it's possible. But they can definitely practice.
John, no disrespect to you, I still think it's a waste of money. I mean, I heard before they were talking about, well, give the kids something to do in the winter. John, you know, kids in the winter want to go out and play in the snow or whatever. They ain't trying to go to no field. I mean, come on, John.
Basketball and wrestling are both winter sports. Obviously, we have an M&M building for basketball. We are using it for wrestling as well, but this facility can be used not just for practice, it can also for dual meets, tri-meets, quad meets, tournaments. This field could be used for many other things, plus the availability of bringing some revenue into the city as well. So,
okay,
I
just don't make sense to me.
I respect your opinion. I know people that aren't in favor, but I know a lot of people are in favor. So,
All right, John.
Thank you, Mr. Geddes.
Angel Carrion is next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, Mr. Carrion. How are you,
Okay.
Angel?
How are you, Council? And congratulations on the new election and everything. Thank you for everything you guys are doing.
Thank you.
In reference to this ordinance, thank you for supporting it. And we need a sports facility. I disagree with the previous gentleman. This is a sports facility. Yes, it will be used for soccer, I'm sure, just like it will be used for many other sports. There are things that all athletes need, facilities for speed training, and even inclusive of football, of course, which feels like he was happy with the football part of that. But baseball players will be able to use it for training, for speed training, physical training, things of that sort. And again, we have a very large Latino population, and soccer is a big sport. But again, it's not only for soccer. There'll be many other uses for it, and we need an indoor facility to keep pace with every other town and every other city as we continue to grow. And you guys are doing a great job, because Main Street is looking good. I work there, and I am very excited to see what I'm seeing. I have driven down Main Street, walked the street, and it is very different, completely different energy. And I'm very excited and very happy to be a resident of Hackensack. So this project is in line with everything else going on in Hackensack, and I'm very happy that you guys are moving forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion. I appreciate that. Anybody else that would like to speak, please raise your hand on your device or press *9 if you're on your phone.
P in Calcaterra is next.
Okay. Pete, can you hear us?
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Mr. Incalcaterra at, on Broadway. And I have a question, actually a couple of questions. I see there's a little activity next door, and I've seen at the former Cultural Arts Center.
Paul,
Yes,
I hate
yes, sir.
I hate to interrupt you, but this is an ordinance, so any discussion is only open to what we're, to the ordinance, which is
Oh,
about.
okay, okay, I apologize. I'm sorry, I'm joining you a little late, so,
That's right. There's a public session at the end of this where where you can make your comments then.
oh, okay, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you, Paul. Anybody else from the public would like to speak to this ordinance and only this ordinance, please raise your hand on your device or press *9 if you're on your phone.
There's
Anybody
no
in
more
front?
hand. Oh, there's one hand raised. Ellen.
Okay,
I just wanted to ask, did you take a poll of how many people want this soccer field? And do you already have teams established, or is this going to be something new? And, you know, I just wondered who's excited about it. I assume there must be some kind of, you know, interest that must have been generated for you to do this. So I'm just trying to ask, how did you, come across this idea?
yes, ma'am. Many years ago, this started many, many years ago. This isn't anything new. We've been working on this for about 5 or 6 years. We were looking at indoor sports facilities throughout other areas, how they worked, how they were used by the city themselves and from people outside the city at times as well. We decided, and most people were in favor. I can't say everybody, but all of our recreation people were in favor of having an indoor facility so our kids can do things year round, along with all the different sports that can be used in there. It's a large enough facility to accommodate many different things going on at the same time. I believe Leo would know the dimensions. I believe it's 360 feet by 240 feet of field. Is that correct, Leo?
Yes.
So 360 feet, that's over a football field in length, and 240 is, that's 80, that's 100 plus yards by 80 yards. Just, the football field is 100 by 50 regulation field. So we split that up. There's ways to separate it. There's all different things. There's facilities inside, locker rooms, obviously, bathroom facilities. There'll be a snack bar and everything else that's needed to take care of people that are using it. And all this is going to be done without raising anybody's taxes. And that was our plan all along, as far as our debt management on it. So, yeah, it's much needed. Hackensack was behind in its sports facilities by decades and decades and decades. Our sports facility that we redid down in the first ward, the M&M facility, was over 40 years old. It was it didn't represent what Hackensack is about. Now you have a beautiful sports facility it's the shining star sports facilities in Bergen County, and it's used quite a bit. Not because, certainly not since COVID, but we'll be back to normal hopefully soon, and it'll be getting used full time again. But yes, there was a lot of thought process went into it. And it's not just for soccer, ma'am. I heard you say soccer too. This is an indoor sports facility for many different types of activities and sports.
Is there enough parking?
Yes.
Yes,
Just
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public would like to speak, please raise your hand or press *9 if you're on your phone.
There are no more hands raised.
Motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims,
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia,
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Need a motion to adopt the ordinance, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims,
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia,
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 25-2021 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 230-21.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance number 26-2021, a bond ordinance providing for parking garage and lot improvements by and in the city of Hackensack in the county of Bergen, state of New Jersey, appropriating $900,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 900,000 bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
Need a motion, please.
Offer.
second,
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims,
aye,
Councilmember Pataglia,
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Anybody from the public who'd like to speak to this ordinance and this ordinance only, please raise your hand on your device and or press star 9 on your phone.
There are no hands raised.
Okay, one more time. You can either press star 9 if you're on a phone or raise your hand on your device. Seeing none, motion to close to the public, please.
Offer.
second,
All in favor? I'm sorry, roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims,
aye,
Councilmember Pataglia,
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Motion to adopt the ordinance, please.
Offer.
second,
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims,
aye,
Councilmember Pataglia,
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 26-2021 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Resolution 231-21.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance number 27-2021, an ordinance to amend Chapter 45A of the Code of the City of Hackensack Affordable Housing to address the requirements of the Fair Housing Act and uniform housing affordability controls regarding compliance with the city's affordable housing obligations. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
Need a motion to open to the public, please?
Offer.
second,
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims,
aye,
Councilmember Pataglia,
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Anybody from the public who'd like to speak to this ordinance and this ordinance only, please raise your hand on your device or press star 9 on your phone.
There's one hand a couple hands raised. The first would be Linda, then Anne Marie, then Candy.
Okay, one at a time. Let them in.
Yep.
Hello,
Hello, ma'am. Could you give your name to the clerk, please?
Linda Yarborough Foster.
Okay.
I've been a resident of Hackensack for over 60 years, all my life. And on this, I'm saying that incorporate low income into community and stop trying to make low income designated to one area. You can always have 3 units in Hackensack of 20 units in different locations. Building affordable income. Affordable income was supposed to come all over Hackensack. I live on Railroad Place. I live across the street from the parking lot. 2 fire trucks can't park next to each other in the parking lot. How in the world can you build housing there in front of the railroad tracks? How many deaths have we had on this railroad tracks in the last 2-3 years? We have a memorial out there for a little boy that was killed on the tracks. And you're talking about building 60 units across the street from my house that 2 fire trucks can't park side by side. Where's parking gonna go for the people? This is just ridiculous. 60 units in a parking lot on Railroad Place. I just don't understand that. We've had buildings all over Hackensack. Why isn't there affordable housing in these buildings? It's time to limit segregation. You're segregating low income to one area. We have buildings all over Hackensack. Why can't they be fitted? Railroad Place is not the place to fit a building.
Ma'am, if I may address some of your stuff, we are not building anything on Railroad Avenue. The 60-unit project has been moved into a larger project on State Street, 1 block off of Main. That project was on Railroad Avenue, was brought to us by a developer. We listened to it, and it did not happen. So, and nor is it, I don't see any plan for that moving forward in the near future. So there's
So is that okay? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
affordable housing is 60 units in the new 260 unit building, which is going on State Street and Trinity Place in Lot T. The 60 units are spread out throughout the building. It's not like they're segregated in any way, shape, or form.
I was just really concerned about Railroad Place, and now I have to investigate the new project. Thank you, but I was concerned about Railroad Place, and that is why I'm here online.
Yes, that project fell through, ma'am, did not go through, and we move forward with another project on State Street.
Okay, thank you. I'll check
Yep.
out State Street.
Mm-hmm. Anybody, who's next, Frank?
Anne Marie is next.
Okay. Hello, ma'am?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, hi, good evening. My name is Anne Marie Sinclair. I was actually concerned also, as Mrs. Yarborough, about the 60 units being constructed on Railroad Avenue. So it's great to hear that the project fell through. And now it's going to be relocated someplace else. My question is, will the new project be luxury apartments as well? Or is it just, I don't know, just an apartment building? Will it have amenities?
Yes, the 260 unit apartment building is a luxury apartment building. He's already done 2 in town, which are quite lovely. There are amenities for all the residents. There's actually a public space built off the back. I don't know if Mr. Dibb is still on the council meeting, but it might even be on our website under redevelopment. If you look, I'm not sure if that one's up there yet because it was just put up there recently in the past. But yes, it's
Okay.
so it's not just 60 units of affordable housing. It's 60 units spread amongst 260 units. 60 of those units were put aside for affordable housing. It's part of our agreement with Fair Share Housing, the state of New Jersey.
Okay, very good. You know, you answered my question. Thank you very much.
And to add, I might as well add to that one. We've created several overlay zones throughout the city. With all the building going on in the city, we know that generically more and more will come. And in these overlay zones, 10% of all the buildings have to have affordable housing. 10% of the building has to be put aside for affordable housing. So that's going to help tremendously as
Right.
well.
Yeah, that's why I was a bit concerned and even puzzled as to why, well, you said it was a developer that proposed something to you, why it was going to be separate from the other buildings. Because to my understanding, each new building should have, luxury building should have a separate unit or X amount of apartment units for low income families.
I understand that a lot of people feel that way, but with the, nobody was coming to Hackensack, and in order to do these projects, we had to use pilots, which many other cities have used. And with the pilots, it's very hard to attract developers with affordable housing inside their units, but they do contribute to our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is a big help because we can use that for, affordable housing stock that we already have, and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Frank?
Next would be Candy Marie Stewart.
Okay. Ms. Stewart, can you
Good
hear us?
afternoon. Right back on mute. Yes, this is Candy Stewart, Hackensack. I am happy to hear that you're not going to build that unit on Railroad Avenue, but I would ask that you make a vow that you will not build any units, low-income units on Railroad Avenue or near the railroad track. Stop redlining the Black community and segregating us from the rest of the community. Secondly, I want to talk about affordable housing. I understand that earlier this week, Councilman Sims attempted to introduce an ordinance on affordable housing. And he was told that he couldn't because he's an outgoing council person. My understanding is that he was voted in by the people of Hackensack, and he is a councilman until he is not a councilman. So it should have at least gone on the agenda. You could have voted down or whatever, but it should have gone on the agenda. You do need an inclusionary zoning ordinance because, like I said, prior to this meeting, in another meeting, my son, my grandchildren, my son who is a college graduate, would want to live in one of those luxury buildings, but they're not affordable. You can't pay for a studio 1950. Who knows what it'll be in the years to come. So you do need an inclusionary ordinance. You need to require that certain number of units and those, any new building coming up include affordable housing. So I think you need to go back and look at the inclusionary zone. It would help the city, and it would also help with future in the future with adhering to the fair share housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
Mayor?
Dave, please speak to that. I know you have the answer for that, but it's the reason for that being denied. Now let Steve explain it. There was a legal reason for that. So go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, certainly, yes. The Deputy Mayor Sims had forwarded an ordinance for introduction tonight relating to affordable housing. The problem is that this is the last city council meeting before we reorganize on July 1st, and it is not legally possible to introduce an ordinance and have it adopted with a separate council. Essentially, this is the final opportunity, for ordinances to be adopted. So if you look tonight, there are no ordinances on for introduction. They are all going to have to wait until at least July 1st. So nothing having to do with the substance of Mayor Sims's or Deputy Mayor Sims's proposal. If the council wants to consider it when the council reorganizes in July, they're not precluded from doing it. But there is simply no public benefit to introducing an ordinance, paying money to advertise it, and all the steps that are needed to adopt an ordinance when it is not legally possible to do so. So just to be clear, it says nothing about the substance or the merits of Deputy Mayor Sims's proposal. And if he or anyone else wants to, have the council consider it going forward, there's nothing to stop them from doing it. It's just tonight, we're out of time.
Okay, I believe you may already have the proposed ordinance, and I ask that the council at their next meeting put it on the agenda, consider it, because it is really important to the future of all of our people in Hackensack, not just the new ones coming in just to commute to New York. It should be considered, so you should take it up. So I thank you. I'm really upset, but I also would like you to give me the state law, the law that says that he cannot introduce that ordinance.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, there's not a statute. It's from, decades of municipal law precedent. Just like when Congress ends, you can't have one Congress approve a bill, or in the state legislature, when the state legislature reconvenes, because you are going to have a different membership on the council. And so there are fundamental rules of procedure that are in place for governing bodies that have been established by court rulings that apply to this. As I said, and we've talked about this. There are a number of ordinances that we would have liked to have put on tonight if we could have, but we're simply not in a position to do that. In fact, there's another ordinance that's going to be coming up that we are going to be not acting on. And that ordinance is essentially going to have to start from scratch in July. We can't simply, because it's not ready to be adopted tonight, simply put it off. It's unfortunately going to have to start the process of being reintroduced, re-advertised, and all the steps that are necessary in order to address that. So it's just basic standard municipal law procedure 101 that's the case.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Anyone else in the public?
Yep, there's a few other users. The next online would be Zoom user. They don't
Okay.
have the name.
Hello?
Yes,
Hi, can you
ma'am.
guys hear me? Hi, my name is
Yes.
Venus Nelson, and I just wanted to speak very quickly. I don't know, do you guys still need my address for this portion?
You just
No,
need to identify. You just need to identify if you're a Hackensack resident.
Yes, okay, my name is Venus A. Nelson, and I am a Hackensack resident. I just wanted to briefly touch on two things again on the Affordable Housing Act that we're speaking on. I know you said there is no official like statute. It's just practicing, I guess you would say, like good business on how things should follow going forward, where Deputy Mayor Sims cannot bring forth that ordinance. But I also would like to touch base on the ordinance that has been brought up from the Rent Stabilization Board in regards to changing a ordinance line from 3 years ago. I know I've been here a few times on trying to get that updated and changed, but we have not heard on that. So I kind of feel like right now we are really just trying to get answers and directions on anything moving forward in the affordable housing or rent stabilization process to get more answers. And we do a new comments meeting, but I know if we did have something on the meeting, you guys would be able to move forward with it, dismiss it, or have your say so then. So kind of not having anything to say about it or not even listing it, I think that's kind of like I don't want to say a slap in the face to the people, but I think it's kind of like ignoring the issues that are important to us. Again, with affordable housing, it's just something that's important to us that we want to, touch base on, and we want to speak out. And again, with the ordinance that we have been proposing from the Rent Stabilization Board for the past 3 years, we haven't heard anything on that. So it's kind of like a topic that you guys are ignoring, and we really would just like to kind of see if we can put that as a priority ahead of the new administration that's coming in next month. I'd also like to mention that with 3,500 new units set to be completed by the end of 2021 in the next 6 months, is there a plan on how many apartments will be designated for affordable housing, or a plan on where that can assist in this issue going forward? And that's really just all I wanted to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Yes. Can people speak twice during this portion or no?
I wasn't sure.
I mean,
I wasn't sure if you guys. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if you guys.
And let me just
or if there was going to be an answer for that. Sorry.
And look, I don't want to interrupt here, and obviously, we want to give everybody an opportunity to speak, but this is an ordinance relating, for example, specifically a public hearing on a rent control ordinance that is making some technical changes to our affordable housing regulations. It's not an ordinance dealing with rent control. So I would suggest that, those issues, people will have an opportunity during the regular public session to speak on rent control, on this issue again, or anything else that, they might be interested in speaking on, but that we've got a large agenda. We've got several other ordinances, and we sort of need to keep this focused on the legislation at hand and the purpose of this public hearing.
Okay, the next person up then with their hand raised is Bridget R.
Good evening to all. I am going to speak on that ordinance. What in that ordinance of chapter 45A of the city code, what was amended in that ordinance?
Would you like me to
you-
speak to that, Mayor?
Yes,
Yeah, you
please.
can. Yeah,
Yes,
go right ahead.
Yes, Ms. Rucker. So as I understand it, and we have Affordable Housing Council that works with Fair Share Housing and works with the court in order to go through the very complicated procedure. And I know you're very knowledgeable of that procedure because you've appeared at the various hearings in order to get everything just right so that we can get our settlement agreement with the court approved. So these are, as I understand it, technical changes that were requested by the designated court special master who reviewed our initial ordinance and found that there were some changes that would be required in order to fully comply with what the court is looking for. So it's not changing our municipal housing obligations, what we've promised to do, or really anything like that. It's really to correct some, I don't want to say errors, but some things that should have been in the original ordinance that were not, that the special master asked that we correct. So the terms that were discussed at our previous meetings remain fully in place, our obligations under the agreement and so forth. So, you can see, and you can see in the ordinance, it sort of lays it out as to exactly what's changed. And it's probably not particularly that interesting, instead of in one place, it changes the date from July 1st to July 2nd, 2025 for our reporting requirements, little things like that.
Okay, so with that being said, within that ordinance, do you think that maybe this should be tabled for that IZO so the change could be brought upon with all of this information for requirements as well? Or do you think that holding off and not placing an IZO ordinance within this change would work, how can I say it, go against what the the court master has suggested or the changes? Do you think?
What I would tell you, Ms. Rucker, is that this was requested by the court. We are trying to keep our schedule. The special master, we are trying to keep to our schedule. As you're aware, there is the hearing in September. Yep. And this was introduced and it has already gone to the planning board for their consistency review, which was completed. So if we were to, for example, table this, number one, we would have to look at, the potential implications and go back to Fair Share Housing and, and go through all of that and then go reintroduce, start again in first reading, then go back to the planning board and all that. So to me, I would recommend to the council that the better course of action is to get this done. And if they want to address a broader inclusionary zoning ordinance, they have every ability to do so when the council reconvenes in July. And I'm sure you'll be there urging them to do that. And don't serve on the council, and that's a decision for them to consider in their judgment.
I understand that, but do you not think that it would be at the best interest of the community and the people to table it? If wait a minute, if when Mr. Sims introduced it and it was pushed away because of the fact that he is leaving, the scenario now here is maybe it should be tabled and we should all look at it over again with that new council to help them along the journey. I don't think the courts would mind at all. I don't think Fair Share Housing would mind at all. I just think it would work for the community, the people, the inclusionary, the diversity. This is something for everyone. This is not just something for, one group of people. This is for a whole city of different origins of people. So I'm just thinking maybe it would be at its best to do that. But if you're going to push along, that's just kind of letting the people know where you stand or where the council stands. So I'm just trying to see if we can kind of suppress it for a second.
if I might briefly and allow the mayor and council to move on, is, you know, where I stand is I provide legal advice. I don't make policy decisions with respect to the mayor and council. It's my recommendation, because I don't know the impact of this. If it were to be tabled and delayed at this point, it would be at a minimum 6-7 weeks to get it done, what the consequences would be. So I can't responsibly recommend that they do that. What I can say to them is, you know, to make sure that they're aware of this proposed revision to the ordinance, and for them to consider it in their judgment when there's a new council. And if they think it's in the best interest of the city to do, then I'm sure they'll pursue it. And if they have reasons to think otherwise, then they'll make a different decision. But I just can't in good conscience, without knowing the consequence tonight, to say, yeah, just table this without, you know, consulting with our special counsel, without them consulting with the master. But my understanding is that they had urged us to resolve this as soon as possible, because it's one other thing on a quite lengthy list of things that we need to accomplish that they wanted to see done. So that's, you know, that's really all I can add to this discussion. And I'd leave it for the mayor and council if they have any more substantive comments to make.
I'm only saying it because it helps the future generations, present and future. That's all I'm saying. So let us think in those terms. Don't do this on a personal, I mean, on an emotional note. You know, I'm here for community. So I'm on emotional for the community. I don't want them to do it on an emotional note because they want to go against the community. I want this to be done for the community in whole. So, okay, so if you want to move on, then let's move on. But you should give that a really deep thought.
Steve, anything on this ordinance? I mean, to re-amend it, I don't see the harm in passing it tonight. And if it needed to be readdressed and re-amended because we put something else on the table, along with fair share housing, that could be done at that time. But to put us back schedule, God knows what fair share housing is going to say to that. I have no idea what the implications could be. That's
I mean, look,
like,
that's my legal opinion. Is my recommendation is that you go ahead and pass it. Nothing stops you from considering what you want to do about affordable housing once you reconvene in July. Nothing at all. You know, there may even be actions you can take that don't require fair shares approval or review, you know, outside of the COA process. But I would just strongly recommend, if that's a path you want to take, that we get, you know, the city pays special counsel who does this for a living, which I do not. And it would just be my recommendation that you at that time consult with your special housing counsel and make an informed, intelligent decision whether Deputy Mayor Sims's idea or any other ideas might be worth considering. And I certainly would suggest that has nothing to do with you know, concern over affordable housing. You know, I know this council has worked very hard in this area to try and move this settlement with fair share housing, which many towns have been unable to achieve. And so, you know, I would certainly suggest the council will continue to look at this issue going forward, and you have every right and ability to do so. And as I said before, I'm sure Ms. Rucker and others who are concerned about this issue will make their feelings known at that time and in the future.
thank you.
That's
Anyone else from the?
Yes, there's a few hands raised. The next is Ellen.
Okay.
Ellen Nimchek, I live in Hackensack. You say you have 3,500 new units coming or have been building. Is that what I understand? Is that the
Kathy, can you answer that, Kathy?
There's approximately 35 in total right now. Some of them have already been built and are that was the total number that since we started this 8 years ago. The statement that was made that they would be coming on board by the end of this year, that is not correct. The 3,500 will be coming on in the next few years. You know, every year you see some more and more of the buildings open, but they certainly will not all be done by the end of this year. But in total, throughout the downtown and including what's happening up on Zabriskie Street, where the old county DPW was, it's around that number right now. Yes.
So then this 260 unit building that's going to have 60 units, you're making one building satisfy all of the requirements for the low income housing, and then that's it? And
No,
then,
no, that's not it. If you heard what the mayor said before, our obligation from Fair Share was to add to the 540 that we already have, to add an additional 60 to meet our number. So we were diligently working to try to do that, and we have been doing that for the past 8 years. It is not easy to have folks be able to build affordable housing. It's expensive. It requires a significant commitment of monies by the city. This doesn't, it's not happening as easily as folks may think. So we were able to find someone who was willing to do this. And at first they proposed less, and we were able to convince them to do the 60. So we were quite pleased with that. So we will accomplish our goal to satisfy Fair Share housing by having this commitment made. And it involves a significant contribution of the city as well. Now, in addition to that, we have at the request of Fair Share housing, we have overlay zones that are really the areas that surround the downtown, right? So as building happens just in that surrounding area, again, not encroaching on a residential neighborhoods, just the areas right around which would be conducive again for more residential to be built. They do not have the option of buying out of it, which is what our ordinance currently says. You can build or you can contribute to the trust fund. Those overlay zones, if someone wants to build there, they must build 10% of their units have to be for affordable housing. Now, we are hoping that the city is not going to have too much of an incentivized investment there, and that this will happen organically as the city continues to develop and expand. And that has been our plan. And we don't see any reason why that won't happen.
when these buildings are built, now they're apartments from what I understand.
Correct, correct.
So is there any thought down the line when these apartments, they're 25, 30 years, start wearing down, that these builders are probably going to turn them into condos and then get free money for themselves? And I'm just wondering, how would this benefit our town?
Well, it wouldn't be free money for themselves, because then the condos would pay taxes towards, the folks that built this made a significant investment. And yes, they'll recoup their investment perhaps in 30 years, but it's the same thing when you purchase a home. You purchase a home and 30 years from now, you're going to hopefully sell that home for more than you did 30 years ago. So, I mean, that's pretty much what the real estate market is and how it evolves. But right now, the current market, that as the developers know it, and again, the city is not involved in the real estate transactions. We don't want anything to do with real estate transactions. We don't go out and solicit developers. We don't buy real estate. They come to us. So they come to us and say, we have the potential to buy these properties. Here's what we'd like to develop. If it meets the vision of the city, it's something that we explore with them. That's how this process has been working for the past 8 years, and hopefully will continue to work to our benefit.
Okay, I just wondered, what you think about the future going down the line when the buildings start to wear out and get old, and
I think like any investment,
consequences.
I think like any investment, look at what's happened on Prospect Avenue. I mean, those buildings are 30 plus years old, and they've been maintained beautifully, and continue to be a great source of revenue for the city and for those folks that live there to enjoy. So that's not necessarily true that they will fall apart. They have significant investments, and they're going to see a significant return on that investment. So it's in their best interest to maintain those buildings and keep them up to date and keep them being income producing as well. And let's hope that that continues to happen. I mean, that the fact that they're going to let them just fall apart, there's no rhyme or reason that would happen that I could see.
So then the 260 unit building that's going to have 60 units low income, you think then the other 200 units will still be able to carry that low income?
Yes. Well, actually, not to correct you, Mayor, but it's 268 units to be 100% accurate.
Yeah,
so there's 268 units, of which 60 will be affordable. And yes, that's what's enabling it to happen. Higher density, so they will have 208 units that will be, and they will be market rate. So whatever the current market rate is, that hopefully will be able to carry that development and able to maintain it. Plus the fact that they're building it on city property. So that helps them as well.
I just wondered, you said hopefully, has anyone actually
Everything you do,
analyzed it?
everything, of course we have.
Okay.
You know, we do, they provide full fiscal impact analysis to us. We review it as a city, and we have financial consultants that review it. But everything, when you're building something and you're just doing something brand new, of course, there's always hope involved that it's going to happen. And there's always risk involved with any new venture. But our role as council members is to mitigate that risk to the greatest extent possible. And I believe we have. And, you know, what we're seeing already is a return on that investment. And that's enabled us to not raise city taxes, the city tax levy for, you know, the last 3 years, and to be able to do all the infrastructure work that we're currently doing. And we would not have been able to accomplish any of these things should we not have, you know, approached this change in our city. And I have no reason to believe that it's not going to continue to make us proud of our city and keep us financially stable. Folks are investing, people are funding them, banks are funding them, financial institutions are funding them. They don't do these type of things either without doing significant research that they're going to get their money back. So, you know, that's a big part of the whole thing.
So this should keep our taxes stable then.
Oh, absolutely. This has already been a help, and we only have a few of them open. This is what we needed, the shot in the arm to bring more revenue into the town, to enable us to fix things as well. You know, we'll talk about them, you know, see some of the things on here tonight to do some of the All right, I think
Okay, thank you.
to the next one or we'll never get done. I'm sorry if I've answered your questions, I hope.
Anyway, okay, thank you.
All right.
Anyone else in the public?
Yes, there's a few hands raised. I just want to confirm 2 users had already spoken on this matter. They can't speak again, correct?
No.
That was at the beginning of the meeting by the clerk.
Okay. So the next,
Yes, they can speak about this again in their 3 minutes, of course, in when we go back into open session. If there's anything else that they want to add, you know, they can speak about this or any other topic.
Right, but not during the adoption.
Yes. Now I think you've given them a full opportunity. I don't think we've held anybody to any particular time limit. So I think you've given everybody the chance that they need to express themselves here. And again, we really have gone sort of far afield here, and I understand the council's interest in making their position known, but you have been very fair and open in allowing this to go in some directions that are much broader than the actual ordinance itself.
okay, so the next user then would be Dr. Yolanda Hawkins Rogers.
Yes, that's all of it. Yes. So I just have a question for some edification. That we have these new developments coming into the town. And I was wondering what prevented a consideration of an IZO at the point of having these developments coming? Would it have been a conflict with developers to have that in place when these buildings were being considered by developers? Because I'm not really clear.
It would have, as the deputy mayor said, the project on State Street took considerable investment from the city. Not from the developer, but from the city also. The city had to, basically it's being built on city land, all right? And the developer is taking his risk on his end and investing a lot of money in the city. The point being, Ms. Hawkins, is a lot of these developments would not be happening if it was forced. I don't think they could make the numbers work, and the city would have to invest so much money. We actually wouldn't see the benefit of what the pilots are going to provide. So it would make absolutely no sense to do it. So, you know, and I'll let the deputy mayor speak more to it, but that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah,
well, I think before Ms. Canisterno, when I spoke, you gave a very detailed, in-depth picture of things, but I wasn't clear, and that my point was to see if there could be some clarification for those of us who, you know, are learning more about how things work. And the thing that wasn't clear, I think there was talk about a $1 million trust fund that developers are willing to put money in there versus anything else. I think I got that. And then there was discussion about an overlay. So I guess my question was, you kind of answered it, Mayor. It was not conducive for developers and compatible to be able to do a IZO at the same time as, courting developers. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
These developers depended on the pilot program, which is provided by the state.
Okay.
In order to get their financing. Without their financing, these things aren't happening. They need certaintyism in order for their financing. So the banks will say, yes, this is a go,
Right.
not a no. When you put affordable housing into the mix, it changes the structure of that to the point where it sometimes just doesn't work, or it's not going to work. And I think we would have seen a lot of these projects not even happen. And again, I'll defer to Deputy Mayor Canestrino because she's neck deep in the redevelopment.
But the only other point I'd like to make, and I'll try and make it quickly, is that, and I know I've said this before, is that initially the city was in financial distress and we needed to get the biggest return on our investment as possible. And if we would have had to contribute to the affordable housing, where would we get that money from? We would have to get it from our taxpayers. Instead of making a set amount of money, we would be making substantially less money on those. And so the return on our investment was the highest to have them built in the way that they're built. Now that we're seeing that money come in and we're planning to see that money come in, we're in phase 2 of that, where yes, now we're accumulating money in the trust funds. We don't have to go to our taxpayers for it. If we have to contribute to get the affordable housing done, we're going to do it. We have the overlay zones. It's going to happen because the market's going to be established now, where it wasn't established when these first came in. So I hope that explains it to you. And I think we will continue to see increased development there. That's our vision, and we have no reason to believe that that's not going to happen.
So at just one point that you said that the trust fund is money there to help with affordable housing. So in my mind, my example is if there's a building on, I don't know, there's so many, I could pick one, but let's say the building's on by Family Dollar and it's not affordable housing. This trust fund would be monies that could be used for families who didn't get in the 10%. You'd use some of that money to help families offset the cost of getting into the building.
Pretty much how it would be used is, say, let's take that same development that you're talking about. If a developer comes to us, all right, and says, I know you have a need for affordable housing. I found an area I'd like to build here, but for me to be able to build X amount of units, whatever it may be, that are affordable, I can't make my numbers unless the city contributes whatever, $1 million, 750, whatever it may be. All right, we want that affordable housing. So now we can go to our trust fund and say, okay, here's the money you need to make the project work. It's a win-win for all of us, right? It didn't cost the taxpayers anything because we got that money in a trust fund already. Yes, it got us the affordable housing that we wouldn't have been able to get if we didn't help them get it. So that's the way that works. The affordable trust fund can also be used to rehabilitate existing affordable housing. And we also have that obligation. Aside from building the 60 units, part of the settlement with Fair Share was we have to look at some of our existing housing stock, affordable housing stock, and do some rehabilitation there, whatever it may be, kitchens, air conditioning, roofing, whatever is decided, hey, these apartments or these units need to be brought up to current, and here's some problems with them. We can use the trust fund money to also do that. So
Right.
that's
So there'll
those
be
are the 2 ways we really will use it.
Will there be transparency about where this trust money, this money will be used for
100%.
affordable housing?
100% we will.
Okay.
Promise.
It has to go out to bid.
Mm. Okay.
All right. Hope we've answered your questions. Thank you.
Okay, the next person with their hand raised is Randy Glover.
Yeah, good evening. Hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I just have like 2 or 3 questions. One, Kathy, you said it was very difficult to find a builder or developer to build affordable housing. How hard or difficult was it to find 18 or more developers to build these luxury buildings that they're getting a pilot for 30 years. And then my other question is, we keep on bantering about affordable housing, low income.
Randy, you there?
Did we lose you, Randy?
I believe in this part of Bergen County, low income is 50.
Randy, you keep breaking up.
Very low income is about 35.
He keeps muting himself.
Around 22 for one person. Those are for one person. So is there any way you can possibly publish exactly what you're talking about when you say low income, and who are the, what's the target of the low income?
I think that's laid out in the settlement agreement, right? Why don't you ask, Steve, are you there still? Isn't that laid out in the terms of the settlement agreement?
Housing.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I mean, the settlement agreement is a comprehensive, plan in terms of what we intend to do with affordable housing and the commitments that we're going to make and the obligations that we have. And it will be, as I said, signed off by Fair Share Housing, which is the leading advocate for affordable housing in New Jersey, approved by the special master, and then sent to the court for final approval. And we're well on our way to getting that done. Obviously there are broader issues with affordable housing above and beyond the settlement. But as I've said before many times, it is an accomplishment to get as far as we've gotten. It does show that not only Fair Share, but the court system believes we're acting in good faith on this. And we're going to continue to do everything in our power to see it through to the end.
Okay, he's looking for what do you consider affordable? Again, if $58,000 for one individual in this part of the state is considered low income, what are the qualifications here for a low income person when we're saying low income housing? What does
they're established, I believe, sort of statewide. I don't think we're coming up with those ourselves. They're based upon guidance that comes from many different that comes from different avenues. So I don't believe we were the ones negotiating those numbers. It's the state of New Jersey that determines what income is. And look, it's different because as I understand it, it varies based upon the size of the family. I mean, obviously, if you have 4 kids, your expenses are much greater than if you have 1 kid, which is much greater than if you have none. So these formulas are something that I believe are established not on the statewide basis, but on a regional one. And obviously, this is Bergen County. It's a pretty high cost of living area. So, I mean, I get the point that sometimes it seems like these numbers seem perhaps a little bit off, but we are just following what has been developed for us by others.
For a family of 4 here, that would be $88,000. So again, when you're talking about affordable housing, what exactly and who exactly are you talking about? When you say affordable, are you talking about people who make $20,000 and call that low income and affordable, or are you speaking about the people who make $58,000 as a single individual?
Again, Randy, we don't set guidelines on that. They're set by Fair Share Housing and previously COA. We do not set the guidelines for the affordable housing and what people pay in these units. It has nothing to do with the city of Hackensack.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
I want to confirm that Linda Yarborough already spoke about this topic.
No.
Yeah. Yes, Linda Yarborough did speak.
Okay, that was the last hand. So then there's no more hands raised for this topic.
Motion to close.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia,
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. And before you move forward, Clerk, I just want to mention one thing. If I can speak at this part of the ordinance, Steve? Steve, you there?
Yes, I mean, this is, sorry, this is a, you know, a hearing. You've heard from the council. Now would be an opportunity for you as a body to deliberate, to discuss, and anything that you want to raise. This would now be your opportunity to do that. So you absolutely have the right and privilege to speak and discuss with your council members on how you want to respond.
I just want to bring up something that it's come up several different times, and I brought it up several different times. And I know there was a disagreement on this with Mr. Glover and myself. He was bringing up Newark and how Newark does it there, but it's totally different. Our agreement with fair share housing. So this is inclusionary, folks. I want everybody on the call. I hope you're still there listening. This is very important. All right. When I say inclusionary, it's inclusionary to several different counties, not just Bergen County. It's, I believe, Essex County, I believe it's Passaic County, and I believe it's Sussex County. All right, they're all included in this. And it's based, we talk about the numbers, the low income numbers. The city doesn't make the low income numbers of what qualifies for affordable housing. That's done outside of here. That's given to us by the state. Those numbers, all right, are based, they're regional, all right? Regional even as far as county goes. So if the low income level is lower in Sussex County or Passaic County than it is in Bergen County, which I guarantee you it probably is because it's much more expensive to live in Bergen County. Those people will get these apartments first. I just want everybody to realize that. All right, these are inclusionary, and the city has not one thing they can say about it or do about it. So what I don't want is people coming to us, why are you letting all these people, low-income people from out of town moving into Hackensack? Because we don't control that. You need to talk to your senators and congressmen in the state of New Jersey, your assembly people. You need to speak to them about that because we have no control over that. This is what they do. That we're meeting our obligation to their plan, all right? So I just wanted to get that out there. Anybody wants to make public comment on it afterwards, please feel free. I'm looking forward to hear from you. So anybody else from the public from the council would like to speak? They need a motion to close, or we close to the public. Need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Offer.
Second.
All in favor? I'm sorry, roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Be it resolved by this.
Can I just say something to Steve? Steve, is it possible you can put an ordinance in where Hackensack residents get first dib on these affordable housing?
Not with respect to our settlement with fair share housing. So, I mean, if there were some affordable housing legislation, once we had our issues resolved with fair share housing and that legal issue was resolved, that might be conceivable. But with respect to this process and what we're trying to achieve, that's just not possible because, you know, you have to understand that the intent of affordable housing, you know, it wasn't entirely designed for Hackensack. It was designed for, you know, as we talked about some of those towns that Jim mentioned in northern Bergen County, where, you know, there really wasn't a fair chance for, you know, somebody perhaps from Hackensack who might want to move into one of those towns to have an opportunity to do so. So they have not wanted towns to be able to just limit it to the people within their town, because the concept is that, you know, people, regardless of their financial status, should have the right to live in, you know, towns that maybe historically were considered to be, you know, too expensive or out of reach for them to live in. So that's, I apologize for that. So that's sort of the reasoning behind that. And I understand in Hackensack that doesn't quite make as much sense as it might in some other communities, but you know, the way that these laws and regulations have developed, it is what it is, and we're obligated to follow them in order to get this matter resolved.
Thank you.
Where were we, Deb?
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 27-2021 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 232-21.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance number 28-2021, an ordinance to amend chapter 170 of the Code of the City of Hackensack parking to add additional parking meter locations on East Ward Street to section 170-70, Schedule 21 parking meter zones. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
Need a motion to open to the public, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Anybody from the public who'd like to speak to this ordinance and this ordinance only, please give your name to the clerk.
Linda Yarborough's hand, I lowered it and she raised it again, so maybe she has something to do with this ordinance, but I'll allow her to speak and let's see.
Let's see what happens. Ms. Foster, can you hear me? Ms. Foster?
No, Linda Yarborough.
Oh,
Linda
okay.
Yarborough Foster.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Foster, right?
Yes, that's me, Yarborough Foster.
Ma'am, did you want to speak?
No, I wasn't on this call. I was on the last call.
Okay, I'm
And
sorry.
y'all
We
didn't
had your
call me, so
hand.
I'll speak at the end.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
So there's no other hands raised then?
Motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Motion to adopt the ordinance.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 28-2021 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. We're going to pull resolution 233-21, correct?
Yes.
Yes, Mayor, and just as I indicated previously, because this ordinance is not ready to be adopted, we will have to start again in July if it is ready to go ahead, and we'll have to reintroduce, re-advertise, and have a second hearing at the appropriate time. So, there's just no way we can pull it. It's essentially being withdrawn,
Right.
and will have to be reintroduced with an entirely new number when we have the new City Council convening in July.
Okay, thank you, Steve. So we'll go to resolution 234-21.
This is a resolution adopting the Main Street Business Alliance 2021 budget.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 235-21.
This is a resolution authorizing tax refund for duplicate payments and state board judgments.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 235 I'm sorry, that was 235?
Right, we're up to 236.
Resolution 236-21.
It's a resolution authorizing the city special counsel for tax appeals to settle the cases on the attached list dated June 15, 2021 that were scheduled for trial or settlement.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 237-21.
Say resolution authorizing for accrued time payout of $166,206.18 to Police Captain Peter Basiglio.
Need a motion, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 238-21.
Say resolution authorizing for accrued time payout of $27,673.03 to Police Officer Peter Bongiovanni.
Need a motion, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 239-21.
This is a resolution requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriation, NJSA 40A:4-87, 2021 Clean Communities Grant.
Need a motion, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 240.
This is a resolution requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriation, NJSA 40A:4-87, 2021 Law and Public Safety Grant.
Need a motion, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 241-21.
This is a resolution authorizing awarding bid contract to New Prince Concrete Construction for Clay Street Combined Sewer Separation Contract Number 1.
Need a motion, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 242-21.
This is a resolution authorizing tax appeal attorney to settle the cases on the attached list dated June 10th, 2021 that were scheduled for trial or settlement.
Need a motion, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 243-21.
This is a resolution for the payment of bills.
Need a motion to pay the bills.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Okay. Anybody have a conflict of interest? I see one for myself. You have to pull that resolution 249-21 because tomorrow Children's Fund is part of Hackensack University Medical Center.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Following items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda, and consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes, including any exceptions and/or additions. The consent agenda consists of Resolution 244-21, resolution authorizing leave of absence without pay for Jeanette Diamante, confidential secretary in the police department. Resolution 245-21, resolution authorizing endorsement of proposed Bergen County community development grants. Resolution 246-21 is a resolution awarding contract extension to New Way concessionaires for the 2021 summer food program. Resolution 247-21 is a resolution authorizing the city of Hackensack to apply for a grant from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Hazardous Discharge Site Remediation Fund in furtherance of the police pistol range remediation in Johnson Park. And Resolution 248-21, which is a resolution authorizing renewal of liquor licenses for the 2021-2022 license term. So we need a motion for those.
Need a motion to adopt the consent agenda as it was read.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 249-21.
This is a resolution authorizing a raffle license, which is raffle license number 2213 for Tomorrow's Children's Fund.
Need a motion.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
I abstain.
Okay, that
Okay.
is the end of that.
Need a motion to open to the public, please.
Offer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anybody from the public would like to speak, please give your name and whether you're a Hackensack resident or not to the clerk, and you will have 3 minutes. Thank you.
All right, so we have a few with their hands raised. I do want to remind everyone that if they would like to speak, they have to use the raise their hand function. It is the bottom right-hand corner, or if you are on a mobile user, dial *9. The first person looking to speak is Carolyn Davis.
Hey.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Jacqueline, whoever was in the city manager's office that listened to my request to change the webinar so that it would be announced who was next. It was too confusing before because you didn't know if you were next and when to speak or not. So I thank you for doing that. I also want to thank Councilman Dave Sims for his attempt to try and get that IZO on the agenda tonight. Respectfully, Mr. Klein, I do disagree with you. We have spoken to several attorneys who said it was not illegal. It may not be your best practice, but it's not illegal. An outgoing president of the United States tries to get as many bills passed as he can before he leaves, and then it's up to the next president to follow through. So it's really not illegal. It may be a practice that you don't do. So I just wanted to let you know that. I think it's definitely time for us to get an IZO into Hackensack. Part of the problem, Ms. Canestrino, I must say this, you say developers come to you. They will. We totally understand that you had to attract developers. Never had an argument with that. But there is a misconception in the public, what is low and affordable? There's a stereotype that people think of when they hear the word low income. Let's be honest about that. People have a vision of what low income people will look like and how they live. And that's totally wrong. So when developers come to you, that's why they're afraid. I feel it's up to the city council to explain to them what low and affordable is in Hackensack. It's your students, your children, your grandchildren who are maybe making $50,000, $55,000 a year. They don't understand that. So it's up to our city council to explain that to them. And maybe if they understood what it really meant, they might be more willing to include those in their development. We need this IZO, and low income, like we said, is my daughter who's gone to college, is a college graduate and can't afford the apartments here in Hackensack. So I believe that, and when I'm so glad to hear that you're not building that building or not, that fell through by Railroad Place, because it was a horrible place. My church is right across the corner there. And there has been so many accidents and near accidents in that corner. We don't need to be redlined into another project, okay, on the railroad tracks. Children have been killed there. Child was killed there. Just the other day, I watched as they had to stop the train, slow down the train because the gates weren't working in Atlantic Street. It is not a good spot. And I don't think any of you would want to live that close to a railroad track, listen to that train coming all the time, or have your children or grandchildren play on that track. How do you prevent this? Part of it, I've asked before, is that you meet with the community sometimes. Everybody doesn't come to city council meetings. I've asked at least on 1 or 2 occasions that you have forums in the community to see what the community, what the people are saying, what they need. And if you've met with those people before these developers even came, you'd have found out that the people in that community did not want a building there. So I'm glad to hear that it fell through. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that the IZO, the state of New Jersey has a long-standing and well-established commitment to maximizing the opportunities for development of housing affordable for low and moderate income households. I don't know if the developers are told that's moderate income. Moderate income in Patterson or Camden is not what it is in Hackensack. The provision of safe, decent, and attractive housing, okay, can afford, serves the community's interest in achieving an integrated, just, and free society, and promotes the general welfare of all citizens. When our children go to school here and are educated in our school system and then cannot afford to live in our town, there's something wrong with that. Inclusionary means that they also would be able to live on Main Street, and some of those are beautiful apartments. Those who make $50,000 or $55,000 will be able to live there. That's what inclusionary is. And I don't think developers understand that. So I'm asking you, when they come, yes, they don't want, it's hard to get them. It's hard to get them because they don't understand. They don't know what that means. Like the general public doesn't understand that either, what that salary is for a moderate income in Hackensack.
Yeah.
The other thing, 3 minutes is up?
Way over.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and Mayor, you know, just because Ms. Davis apparently has, you know, made this reference to consulting with attorneys, and I'm just reading, I was on Westlaw, pulling what is the Bible of local government law in New Jersey, which is Michael Penney's New Jersey Practice Series. And it states that for nearly a century, case law has held that there can be no adoption of an ordinance on second reading by a governing body if some of the members have just begun new terms of office since the introduction of the ordinance. So my legal advice was correct. I stand behind it 100%. And I would suggest Ms. Davis's attorneys have steered her very badly and correctly.
Okay. Next person from the public, please. Please raise your hand or press star 9 on your phone.
We have a few with their hands raised. The next is Victor. Hold on, I want to see if I can. Yep. Okay.
Good evening again, John and Councilman. I was going to speak on the IZO, but earlier when I was speaking about the soccer field, somebody came on after me, and to that gentleman, I'm gonna say this: it is better to appear to be stupid than open your mouth and remove all doubts. Let me tell you something. When you stated that we now have a large population of Hispanic people, and so what you applied to me was what I felt, oh, just because we have a large population, so this soccer field or this complex would be for Hispanic people. I had never, ever differentiated people in Hackensack. I have always said the people of Hackensack. I never, ever said Black people, white people, Hispanic people. I said residents of Hackensack. I was offended by this clown statement about Hispanic people. Now we have a large population. I don't know who the hell that was, but he offended me to the highest that I ever been on this city council when he made that statement. And I'm also a little offended that y'all didn't try to correct them and say, well, we have a diverse population, so it's not going to be just for Hispanic people. So that's all I have to say, because I am still pissed off that that passed by and nobody corrected that fool.
Next person from the public, please.
Okay, the next is Angie Metler. Okay.
Hello, my name is Angie Metler. I'm the Executive Director for Animal Protection League of New Jersey. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I will be brief. Animal Protection League of New Jersey was founded in 1983. Our primary purpose is to provide solutions to communities that may be experiencing animal-related conflicts. Tonight, I'll briefly talk about geese. Overall, the public supports humane geese management. Bergen County passed an ordinance to ban all gassing of geese in Bergen County many years ago. My colleague Doreen Fraga, our outreach director, mentioned that she had a conversation with Fred Cowell at the Hackensack DPW. He said border collies are used to manage geese. We would love to know if this is still the case and if everything is working well. If not, we are here to provide humane geese management solutions. To that end, we are available to do presentations over Zoom upon request. We're also available to do site visits to give advice, because sometimes a few simple tips based on your unique situation can resolve conflicts. The number one solution is habitat modification, because geese do not come where they are not welcome. Large areas of grass with clear line of sight to water is a welcome mat. In our tool chest, we have information on the following humane methods, including a habitat modification guide, goose deterrent brochures, information on border collies, geese laser lights, drones that chase geese, sprays, flight turf grass. Geese hate, and flight turf is interesting because you only need to mow it once a year, or twice a year rather, sorry about that. Very little maintenance involved. There's fencing and signage and canine cutouts, and there's even a company called Duty Calls. Yes, they clean up goose poop. Thomas Quinton from Edgewater is willing to share what works for him and advise, and a list of towns that have implemented humane methods, to name a few, is Bloomingdale, Farallon, Garfield, Hawthorne, Elmwood Park, Kimco Realty in Edgewater, and West Milford, Montclair, and some towns prefer to leave the geese alone in Hillsdale and Cherry Hill. And in closing, I would like to follow up by sending our contact information to answer any questions you may have. And I can also send you a tool chest for further reference. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Metler. If you could get that, Jacqueline, if you could get her information, please. Thank you. Next person from the public.
Okay, the next person is Linda Yarborough.
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, hold on. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Please give your name.
Linda Yarborough Foster. That's my name. I'm
you.
piggybacking after Carolyn Davis. But what I most want to say is y'all been doing 8 years of construction all around Hackensack. This is my town. I've lived here all my life. I don't know what's going on. From street to street, I know Hackensack. But in the end of things, why couldn't those 60 units been incorporated into these buildings? There's buildings all over Hackensack. I've actually, every building that went up, I've actually put what's the name in? I'm a senior citizen. I said, oh, well, if they have low income, they should take a senior citizen before they take a family member. But they don't take anybody. So why couldn't those units been incorporated? We have to find a unit for low income people. That's ridiculous. I lived in Hackensack all my life. My neighbors was Italian. There was only 2 Spanish families, so one lived on my street. I lived in the neighborhoods of Hackensack, from Hackensack to South Hackensack. And I don't understand why all these buildings that went up cannot incorporate 60 units. We have to make a whole new unit for 60 units of low income. There's enough buildings that went up in Hackensack that could incorporate that. And that's just ridiculous. All my years in Hackensack, now Hackensack has divided. I live next to Italians. I live next to Spanish because that was all that was in Hackensack when I grew up. Italians, Blacks, and immigrants. There was 2 Spanish families. 60 years later, we're all delegated to who we are. I don't know why that these units couldn't find 60 units. 60 units. And now you have to build a whole new, all the buildings around Hackensack couldn't fit 60 units. That's ridiculous.
Answer your question, but you keep repeating. Let me answer your question. Number one, we had to wait for an agreement for fair share housing to come up with a number, right? Which was the 60 units plus the overlay zones that we agreed upon and some other things as well. These other buildings were planned, many of them, like you said, 7, 8 years ago and 5, 6 years ago, and way before the fair share housing agreement came out. But as Deputy Mayor Canestrino also said, in the beginning of all of this, we were doing this to save our city, our downtown. I mean, everybody says, oh, you know, if we had put affordable housing downtown 8 years ago, everybody'd be mad at us. There's nothing
But excuse me, 8 years ago, there was how many buildings is in that area? You could have put 5, 10, 8 units. 8 units. You couldn't put 5 families in each unit.
I don't understand what your point there is, ma'am. I'm sorry.
You've built how many units in Hackensack in 8 years?
Right now, there's how many, Kathy?
I'm sorry, I'm muted. There's about 3,500 units under construction. They're not all completed.
Correct.
Okay, so you got to find a 60 unit place for low income. Those units should accept
Ms. Yarborough, we have a development that's being built with 268 units. 60 of them will be affordable.
Okay, so why you couldn't have 10 in the other units that you built?
Those agreements were way before those pilot programs, and the redevelopment agreements were done way before the affordable share housing number came out. There's no way for us to.
Okay, I understand then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's what I'm arguing about. We've had so much building and nothing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person is Josh Cohen.
Go ahead, Mr. Cohen.
Hi, Josh Cohen, Hackensack. Good evening. Congratulations, everyone, on winning the election.
They lost.
Once again, I am here looking for help in addressing the sewage overflows we have on Clinton and Prospect. A year after speaking to the council, following up with DPW, the city manager, city plumbing inspectors, Aaron Abline of Suburban, Mike McAloon, the licensed operator, spoken with city project managers, and the enforcement department of NJDEP. No one in Hackensack has been able to provide a legitimate explanation or path forward, even though I do think, Jim, for the first time, I've heard anyone in Hackensack address it tonight with the development on Prospect. Christine Blaney of NJDEP perhaps summed it up best by describing this intersection as a fishbowl and simply saying Hackensack needs to separate the sewers. I've received no such acknowledgement from anyone associated with the city about separating sewers in Fairmount. And you all know that I've spoken about this before. In the last week, there have been 2 sewage overflows on the corner of Clinton and Prospect on Friday, June 4th and Tuesday, June 8th. When this happens, we can't use our plumbing Showers need to stop. We can't do laundry or flush our toilets. I literally had to get my wife out of the shower because it was thunderstorming. That's the best case, assuming my backflow valves prevent city sewage from flooding my house. I'd also like to address a comment from Jim, who said the previous city administrations hadn't ignored the sewage problem. They just didn't know how to pay for it. But if I'm not being ignored, I'm definitely being brushed off. I have an email from Ted telling me not to refer to these overflows as raw sewage because it's mostly stormwater. And Jacqueline, I think you're on that email thread, right? This is after I spent $1,000 to clean feces, condoms, and sanitary napkins out of my basement. But because it's mostly stormwater, I shouldn't refer to it as sewage coming from the city manager. During the past year, I've seen no movement from the city towards fixing this problem in Fairmount. From Ted, I've only gotten, he's only minimized the health impacts of raw sewage on my family and pointed the responsibility towards myself rather than the city. One point of clarification, you did scope the sewers outside my house to identify that there were no issues with roots. I think you took out some roots, but that wasn't the main problem because it's still happening. Jim, you pointed out that the Prospect apartments are flooding the Clay Street apartments. All of that water also comes right down towards my house, directly towards me. There's a big problem here. At a previous meeting, I asked where Clinton and Prospect is in the priority list of sewage overflows being proposed. Aaron told me I need to talk to Mike McAloon, who's the licensed operator. He told me I have to talk to Aaron to get things prioritized. So maybe I need to get on a phone call with both of them. I don't know. What Mike also said is that the sewer narrows under Grand and under the apartment that's on Grand and Euclid, and maybe it's backing up from there. So what I did was I got in my car during the storm and I drove around to look, and it's not flooding down there. So last time I spoke, Mr. LaBrosse, you had asked if it's actually backing up from the city. From the river all the way up to Fairmount. I've seen no evidence of that, and no one's been able to provide any evidence. And instead, Mike's asked me to phone in these things when it overflows. It just seems kind of silly that we can't have like some kind of sensors in there that could monitor this and let us know what's going on. When I first spoke about this issue a year ago, the response was, if this has been a problem for so long, why haven't we heard about it before? Has the city made any effort to understand how so many city employees are supposedly unaware of sewage overflows? A lot of people said that, the council said that. I heard that from the city manager. I heard that from the sewer inspector or the plumbing inspectors you sent to my house. The plumbing inspector that you sent to my house, his solution that he suggested to me was I should build a septic system. I don't even know if that's like allowed by code. And these are the kinds of solutions that you guys are suggesting to me. I think we should have a standard solutions recommended by the city, paid for by the city, in place for homeowners affected by city sewage. If I have to put in a septic system to stop my house from overflowing sewage from the city, why do I have to pay for that? That should be paid for by the city. Hackensack should also have a plan on addressing development in areas known to have sewage overflows. I recently had to speak at a zoning board meeting against a project that wanted a variance to pave 75% of 2 lots. Like, how is that possible? Like, why do we should be stopping or at least pausing development in problem areas and not building new projects that are going to continue to cause or to build sewer problem issues in problem areas. Hackensack's planning on spending tens to hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 2 decades on sewer improvements. I think it would be a terrible result if after all that, we still have sewage overflows affecting the health and property values of residents like me. In closing, my family has been proud residents of Hackensack for over 100 years. My son is the 7th generation to live in the city. I'm very proud of that. We're excited about the direction the city's headed. It was one of the reasons we decided to invest in this property. We moved back to Hackensack. We're excited about it. I'm excited about the sewer separations you're starting and approved today on Clay Street. You know, I'm just looking for your help here because I feel like I'm all alone and I'm advocating for this by myself. And I want to ensure the problem areas are properly addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Obviously, we need to take a different approach in this area. We have to come up with some type of, until we can get the sewer separated in this area, we have to come up with some type of temporary solution, whether it's some type of holding areas or something else, the coffers that are put underground to retain stuff. So Jacqueline, please call Aaron tomorrow and let's get over there. Let's also recamera the sewers and see what's going on down there, to see if anything's changed. But you know, along with Stanley Place and the people up on the hill, people shouldn't have to be living with raw sewage coming in their basement or overflowing into the streets. So I agree with you, Mr. Cohen. Next person, please.
Okay, the next person is Bridget Rucker.
Okay. Ms. Rucker?
Yes,
give your name,
hi.
please.
Yes, Bridget Rucker, Hackensack.
Thank you.
I will continue again from just that last ordinance. I will speak about the community and how this inclusionary ordinance is for all of the working poor people, which is about diversity and inclusionary, and how the IZO would help in the present time and the future time for this city. Because right now, at this present time, the city council is governing as a separation of segregation here. So it needs to be fixed. Now, I think her name was Miss Yarborough, when she spoke about the actual why those units could not be placed inside of, it's because it's called a bargaining chip. And when the contracts were done, the bargaining was not done to put some units in there. Now, you could talk about 8 years ago, but everybody knows about affordable housing. In your master plan in 2001, when the first master plan was, there was affordable housing in the downtown area. In 2009, in that master plan of reexamination, there was affordable housing in that downtown area. So what I'm going to say here, when you guys got in office, you changed the narrative. So it would not be affordable housing in the downtown area in the master plan of 2012. So, I mean, 2013. So what I'm going to say here is future generations who go to school, who've grown up here, they're not going to be able to come back here and afford to live in their own hometowns that they have grown up in. That is sad. So my thing here, I'm going to say to you all is, this is about community. If you would learn how to connect with community, you would not have a lot of pushback. You might have a lot of agreeing on some things that you have done. But since you don't want to connect with community and you want to be segregation and you want to have redlining, this is what you're going to get until you learn to sit across on the other side of the table with the community. But like I told you, I asked you, Kathy, back maybe 2 years ago, and I have the email still that you did not never answer. The table is where you do bargaining at when you're sitting across from someone. It's called a contract. Negotiations can happen, and all of that could have been avoided with the inclusionary. You could have done it on your own, but you chose not to. The redlining is what you want to do to keep the segregation of separation in the city of Hackensack. People need to learn what community is all about and what inclusionary is all about and what diversity is all about. Because everybody wants to live here in peace. Nobody wants to have this agitation or continuous agitation because you guys want to do it your way. I come on those planning board meetings because you guys are on those planning board meetings and I need to see. And the other thing I'm going to start telling people to worry about is those overlay zones that you guys are talking about. People better get smart for the people that pay taxes here and stakeholders here and residents here. Start utilizing your voices, people. That's all I'm going to say. have a great night. Thank you, Dave Sims, for allowing us to bring this to your attention. I would like to thank you for now joining in with your community, because this is your community. You've been here your entire existence. So I would like to say again, thank you. Everyone have a good night.
Okay, the next up to speak is Marty Smith.
Good evening, Marty Smith, Prospect Avenue. Several months ago, the Record newspaper ran a series of articles relating to school bus companies currently operating in New Jersey and the problems relating to some companies. This past week, specifically on June the 10th, the Record published an article concerning legislative bills up for passage that could eliminate loopholes in the current regulations that govern school bus companies in New Jersey. Our committee has several questions for the council on school bus safety in the city of Hackensack. Our first question is, does the city of Hackensack own any school buses?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Smith. That would be a question. The city of Hackensack owns no school buses. That would really be a question for the Hackensack Board of Education.
Okay.
But I believe they don't own any either. They may own, I know they rent. Dave, who was a teacher at the high school, are any of those school-owned buses, Dave?
They lease those buses.
They lease a few buses? Okay, but not a lot. They only for sporting events, right?
It's about, they lease about, I believe, 4 or 5 buses.
Okay.
Are those buses normally used for student transportation to schools or for special activities?
Just for activities, sporting events and day trips.
Okay. Our second question is there anyone or department in the city administration who is responsible for checking on the credentials of school bus drivers servicing Hackensack for the following? 1, that the drivers have a commercial driver's license, and 2, that their commercial driver's license has an S certification indicating school bus driver approval.
Again, Mr. Smith, the city of Hackensack has no school vehicles, so we wouldn't be checking those people. As far as checking the Board of Education's people, I think that's part of their criteria when they hire them, that they have to have a seat. What do you call it? The
DDL license.
It's in the school bus tag.
DDL.
DDL and a
DDL.
Yes.
But do we have anyone in the city who's responsible to check on these school bus drivers for proper certification?
I'd have to have Jacqueline ask the traffic division. I can't answer that for you right now, but I can get you an answer.
Okay. And our third question is there anyone or department in the city administration responsible for checking the driving abstracts of current school bus drivers for violations, including DUI, DWI, and for prior suspensions of license, and also for any criminal history, including pedophile convictions?
Again, check into that with the, that really probably should go through the Board of Ed, because the city does not hire any of these bus drivers. Therefore, those lists, we are not privy, or we do not have, what do you call it? We have no access to these people to even check on them. So that would have to be done through the Board of Education.
But you don't know if the Board of Education has an ongoing program to check on this?
No, you'd have to address them with that.
Marty, I could give you a call tomorrow and we could go through your questions and I can clarify anything you have regarding the school buses.
Appreciate that. Thanks very much. Have a good evening.
Next person, please.
Okay, the next person is Deborah Keeling-Geddes.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Deborah Keeling Geddes, Hackensack. Well, the first thing I want to say is that I'm very pleased that the proposed Railroad Avenue building has been eliminated. And I'm pleased for a whole variety of reasons. That whole thing was just not right. And I'll leave it at that. But getting to the inclusionary zoning ordinance, I believe it's crucial to have in place in Hackensack because it will guarantee that people of all income levels will have the opportunity to live in the more quote unquote desirable areas in the future new quote unquote luxury buildings without developers being able to buy out of the affordable units. As you know, IZOs are nothing new. Jersey City, Hoboken, Teaneck, and other towns have IZOs. So I'm trusting that once you guys reorganize, presenting an IZO will be one of your first actions. And as far as Hackensack residents getting first dibs, I believe you can do a residency preference ordinance for affordable housing that that will result from having an inclusionary zoning ordinance in place. And you can look into that. That's what I was told. So please look into that. I believe the Hackensack Housing Authority have something like that, that the Hackensack residents get first dibs on their apartments. I may be wrong, but that's what I heard.
That is the case there, Ms. Keeling. But that's HUD housing, not.
Okay. Okay. Well, you can look into the residency preference ordinance, and once the inclusionary zoning ordinance is in place. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Next person, please.
Okay, the next person is Andy Post.
Hi there. Andy Post, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So I'm also in favor of the inclusionary zoning ordinance. We do not want to concentrate low-income housing to one area of our city. Separate is never equal, and it does not work. Inclusionary zoning does provide greater social and economic mobility and integration, and it's effective at increasing the affordable housing supply and encouraging economic opportunity and equity by reducing the rent burdens for low-income residents. And it provides those residents access to, what we would call high opportunity neighborhoods, building wealth through home ownership and creating mixed income neighborhoods. So I implore you to consider this a gesture of solidarity as a pledge to our community and our future. My hope is that with the IZO, any new developments will include affordable housing with that residency preference ordinance that Deborah talked about. And that can, be purchased. Housing can be purchased, allowing our own community members the opportunity to build wealth through ownership, and then thereby a prosperous future. So I'm hoping that we as Hackensackians can lead by example, because we are the county seat, and then maybe we'll be the first ones to have the IZO, and the other towns will follow suit. I also want to mention about the speeding on Anderson, Clinton, Euclid, Ross, and other wide streets. A friend of mine who lives on my street also had suggested that while the physical width of the road doesn't change, if we change the visual perception and make it look narrower by painting lines in the street, that might help to slow the drivers down who come off of Summit and speed down those streets. The point is that the city can easily address the issue of speeding on the streets instead of sending out the speed, the thing that catches the speed, because that only works while it's there. They could paint the lines on the street. which is less expensive and than some other means of slowing down the traffic. Smart Growth America publishes relevant studies of that issue, so that might be a reference for you. And that's my statement for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Post. Next person from the public, please.
The next person is Joe DiCarlo.
Okay.
All right, good evening. My name is Joe DeCarlo from Summit Avenue. I came before you about 2 years ago about this ordinance 170-12 for commercial vehicles, no parking in residential area. I do HVAC. I need this van to do my work. I understand there's a law that I can't have this vehicle anywhere near my property. I don't have a garage. For a while, I was parking it in my backyard, but when it rained or it snowed, I'd get stuck. I had to have a tow truck pull me out a couple times. So it wasn't really working out. So now I'm gonna have to be parking it elsewhere and either walking or finding some other means of transportation to get this vehicle to go to work. I don't have a second car. It's not really in the funds right now. But I was wondering, 2 years ago, you said that that there was no way to change this law or amend it. But from what I understand, on February 21st, there was an amendment to this ordinance. I'd like to ask the council, what are the steps for me to take to amend this? Like, can I get signatures or, to try to make this possible for me to, live my livelihood. I spoke to several of my neighbors. Nobody really has an issue, but apparently there's probably one person that does. If I can get some sort of answer as far as like how I can amend this, I kind of feel maybe there's a majority of people that don't mind the commercial vehicles, as opposed to the ones that do not want them parked in their driveway. I understand, you don't want to see dump trucks or, landscape and trailers parked in people's driveways, but if we could come to some kind of medium, compromise to kind of, help out the blue collar guys like myself. My vehicle's neat, it's clean, it's never more than 2-3 years old. Basically, that's what I wanted to bring back to your attention.
Well, the only feedback I can give you is if we change an ordinance, it has to be citywide, right? It just can't be for you. It has to be for throughout the city. And you brought up a point like, oh, no dump trucks, no landscaping trailers, no tractor trailers or whatever. Well, who makes that decision? Because now what happens if you make that decision? Now at my next meeting, I have dump truck drivers, I have landscape trailer people and tractor trailer people saying, hey, you let them park here. Why can't I park here? And what do I tell them? Plus, I disagree with you. And I'm going to tell you, Mr. DiCarlo, I'm a blue collar worker and I paid over $1,000 in commercial parking tickets here at my address at 18 Brook Street years ago. Had a nice new commercial van. I worked for a company, wasn't even mine, but I got to take it home and I had to change that. And I made different arrangements. So, and nobody complained about it. I had no complaints from my neighbors. It was just, it was there and it was obvious it was there and the constables at the time wrote it up. But, I disagree with your number. I would say it, even if it's 50-50 of people that don't mind it and people that do mind it, how do we make that agreement? So it's a slippery slope. Now you mentioned you parked it behind the house. Couldn't you put some gravel or something back there so it wouldn't get stuck?
My lot's not big enough to. I have a tree in the way. I already took down another tree, gravel, and I can't even afford a second car. So I don't really have money to keep spilling out for this work van as far as paving and it's just, taxes are high here. Everything costs money these days. I'm a one-income household. My wife stays home with the kids. We only have one vehicle. I like to live in Hackensack. I like the way the city's direction's going, but I'm a lifelong resident. So, is there any way we can? I know that I have a cousin that lived in Hillsdale, and their ordinances state any vehicles over 4 wheels are not allowed to park.
Right.
I mean, is there any way to kind of like weed out the dump trucks? I know you're gonna have people. I mean, I doubt you're gonna have all these people coming down, and knocking down your door. I want to park my dump truck in my driveway.
I'm just making a point there because, there's already, we've already had discussions about tractor trailer. A lot of tractors were actually parking, not the trailer, but the guy would own the tractor and he would actually bring it home and park in his driveway overnight. And technically it's not much different than a large van at that point. But it's a tough decision, Joe, and I can't see this council overturning an ordinance that's been in place for years and years that's going to bring dozens of people to council meetings, beating the crap out of us for changing it. I mean, I understand your plight. I've been in it. I was there. I was a young family man. Wife was home with the kids. This was my way of making a living, and I had to come up with a way to get around it. And it's unfortunate. I certainly didn't appreciate it then myself, but I had to do it. So, I can't sit there and say we're going to sit there and change an ordinance. I can't see that happening. If there's any other way around this, you want to talk to Jacqueline and City Hall some more, the city manager, I would recommend doing that, but changing the ordinance probably is not going to happen.
What would it take to make that happen?
To change the ordinance? I
Yeah.
can't see it. We would be.
I'm just asking, like, what would it take? If I came to you with 10,000 signatures, you'd say I can't do anything about it?
In the city of Hackensack, you can't petition the council technically. If you came to me with 10,000 signatures, that's a lot of signatures, considering not even 4,000 people vote for elections.
Okay. So what would be the process then?
There is the process is you're doing the process right now. It's really the decision of the council whether we want to move forward with changing an ordinance that's been in place that if we change it is going to possibly bring out a multitude of people against it.
So
that paid.
then we could put it to it. That's why we're able to vote. The majority rules.
Yeah, but the vote. I mean, voting for what are you talking about? Polling the council?
No, not polling the council. Polling the population. If I came to you and say, look, 60% of the people say we don't mind a person parking their van in their driveway. I can understand your point about the street, but if they own a driveway, they pay taxes on that property. They should be able to park, a light working van, a pickup truck. I mean, the ordinance states in the zoning ordinance, you can't, a pickup without a cap is considered a commercial vehicle. That's the definition. There's a lot of people drive around town and park a pickup truck without a cap. They're not getting ticketed. All right.
Right.
So that's my point. It's my property. I own it. I pay taxes on it. If I don't have a vehicle that looks like Sanford and Son, I should be able to park it in my driveway.
Understand your plight. I've been there and done that, but it's not going to be done by ordinance. It's going to have to come up with some other solution or some way. But I can't see changing the ordinance for an entire city. All right. I get maybe 1 or 2 of these complaints a year. All right. That people are getting ticketed for their commercial vans. Most people figure it out. But we've written, Jacqueline helped me out here, I think in May alone, we wrote over 50 commercial vehicle tickets.
It's over 50.
What's that?
We have over 50 written summonses for commercial vehicles
In May?
from March to May. And
March.
for June, I don't have the counts as of now.
So
I
I need,
think if you don't mind, Mayor, I just wanted to mention something to Joe DiCarlo. I think what the council, what the mayor is trying to say is we get calls in our office regarding commercial vehicles, and some houses are closer together than others in Hackensack, and some, have more space. So some residents come forth and they come out of their homes and they see a commercial vehicle and it's right next to their driveway. It's an eyesore for them. And they rely on us to make this decision to amend the commercial vehicle ordinance and to make their quality of life better. So the majority of our complaints come to us saying they don't want to look at commercial vehicles on their block. So in your case, we respect that, this is your livelihood, you're a one income household. But if we make this decision to change this ordinance back, we're going to have many more complaints that they don't want to look at these commercial vehicles. So we tried to make an effort to make it easier for you. So we want to meet you halfway and let you put the gravel behind your fence and put that vehicle there so it isn't an eyesore for people around you. So I think what we're trying to do is really meet you halfway and make it a little easier. But unfortunately, you ran into an issue in your backyard and, things, as you know, I've tried to accommodate on many levels for the situation. But I think at this point, it would be difficult for us to consider, but I leave it to the council to, really make that decision. And that's why I encouraged you to address them on the matter.
I appreciate that. Thanks for all your help, Jackie.
Where he live?
Summit Avenue,
we're waiting.
What
Guys,
number?
785.
Say again?
785. I'm in between Catalpa and Cedar.
Okay.
All right,
By
gentlemen,
Sty Park.
we're way over 3 minutes. We've been on this for at least 10, 15 minutes. And there's other people waiting to speak. It's a 3-minute limit. So Joe, please touch base with Jackie. Let's see if we can work something out. Thank
I
you.
will go by your house, Joe. I'm gonna check.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, the next person to speak is Margot Cooper.
Okay. Ms. Cooper, can you hear us? Margot? Margot, unmute yourself.
I think I finally did it, huh?
Yes, you did.
Any resistance, which is not a good thing. Of course, I'm Margot Cooper of Hackensack. We have 18 buildings here in Hackensack under construction, etc. The sewer system in Hackensack is very old, it's crumbling, yada, and so forth. But my question is, with all these additional people in the high rises, we're going to have more sewage and more water coming through our sewer system. I have a construction being done behind my house, and underneath my house are the underground streams. And I'm very concerned about the fact that this construction of two-family house is going up. Okay, where is their sewage going? Is it going away from my property, or is it combining with what I have? I'm very concerned. I'm going to have to check with the building department because it's bad enough as it is with the natural rain and the underground streams. This I understand, but Mother Nature reabsorbs the overflow when we have a heavy storm. But I don't know what's going to happen with this new construction behind my house. So I feel I'm going to have to start investigating now, because on the other end of Stanley Place, my neighbors have had sewage overflowing for years. The town has done nothing about it. But with the new buildings going up, are they going to have sewage problems or no? We've been here longer than the new buildings. I understand semantics and so forth. But we have paid a lot for our homes. I know my neighbors have, and so have I. But I feel, and also with Josh, I know him. We need to have our problems looked into. It's extremely important. Okay, we have the construction in town, wonderful. But don't forget about us homeowners who have been here for years. I've had my home almost 24, 25 years. Neighbors have owned longer than that. But the town has not really sat down, talked to the homeowners, find out what the problem is and resolve it. That's all any of us are asking. And as I said, I'm going to have to check about the construction behind my house because I'm concerned already. So I thank you. This is my statement. But we need to do something about the sewer system here because it's backing up, as Josh said, with terrible stuff in it. I have flow checks, and luckily, from the last storm we had, I have a wash basin. And when I went down the basement, I could see where the flow check, the pressure was so hard and heavy that I could see blackness in the bottom. I had to pour Clorox in it. So please check the sewer system for us because it's dangerous and it will only get worse as more people live in this town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Next person.
The next person to speak is Paul in Calcaterra.
Yes.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, everybody. Congratulations on getting into office. I hope the first ward was helpful. I have a couple of concerns here with the parking situation here down on Broadway. You've taken or the city has taken away a few spots because of, I think, the handicapped ADD or something. So on Broadway, there's a couple of spots that have been eliminated, it reduces the parking. I'm trying to find out, at one point where the M&M building is, there was, I think, several spots or the spots on the east side that I think were going to be allocated to residents. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I know Ms. Salvo, who was involved with community relations, had said that I think there was 7 or 8 spots by the M&M building. I don't know where to go to find out about that, or find out what we could do to you got a lot of 2-family houses here, and you're getting more kids here and stuff, so the parking gets a little tight here. I'd like to bring that point up. I don't know where to go to find out that. That's the first thing that I'd like to city council to think about. The second one is about the speeders. This is you got the preschool over here, and you should see these speeders. I heard Miss Post talk about in her area about speeders, and I was in Woodland Park this past weekend. Of course, they have the bumps, the asphalt bumps, and I'm thinking, well, I know once I asked that in front of the council, and they sort of tossed it aside. And I'm wondering if maybe they could put temporary rubber bumps, maybe just for certain months of the year, or it's just. There was a guy one day speeding. He must have been doing 50 or 60 miles an hour on Broadway. And I jumped up and said, slow down, slow down. He stopped, and he had the cell phone in his hand, and he's like, what? It's like, you're telling me what to do? So I hope the city starts giving out more tickets, for speeders. I think that the police, and I know it's probably not legal, the police should get a commission on every speeder ticket that they give. What are you in a hurry for? There's people here, there's schools, so that's something that maybe you could think about, Jacqueline. Maybe talk about the say we had a residence, we have a couple of residents at the council meeting who said, let's get out the units out there and put them to work and make a little more money for the city.
I'll definitely speak to the our OIC regarding.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a school. There's schools here, and I'm not the only school here. I mean, there are other schools too that they put out a unit, and a couple of guys grab them. Great, yes, Mr. LaBrosse.
Just let's check that. Let's have them check. Let's have traffic check to see if there's any non-residents parking down there for periods of time also. Because we may be able to do something like resident parking down there, which would help tremendously.
Yeah, something like that. And who would I find out if there's, we could park? If I had a tenant who left. He said, I can't get parking. I had to call him over. He said, I can't get parking here. I got to find another place.
My problem is, I don't know about the 7 spots you're talking about, Paul, but we'll look into it. But I'm very nervous about opening that up to the public because next thing you know, I got 50 residents parking there and we have an event and, brand new building, we can't even use it. There's no.
Well, can you make a stipulation, like.
Very hard to enforce because once people start parking, then everybody parks. So it's going to be tricky. So I'm going to let Jacqueline talk with.
And then, the other thing I was thinking about was, Broadway used to be at one time a one-way. And of course, was parking on both sides of the street. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's a possibility if they did an overnight parking or, something on where it goes down towards Hudson Street.
Right.
I mean, it's an idea, it's a possibility. I'm thinking if there was parking there, that might slow down these maniacs.
Yeah.
Who, want to speed.
Let's have traffic and parking enforcement and Jacqueline look into it.
Okay, I appreciate that. And the third thing I wanted to ask you is I know there's activity next door, the former Cultural Arts Building. I see some people coming in and out, and the word on the street was that they were going to make some kind of office for H-cops or something. Do you know anything about that?
I don't. Jacqueline?
Yes, Paul, we are, our building department is temporarily relocated to our recreation center.
Yes.
So some of our other storage for our police department and our H-cops has now been relocated to that building. So they will be in and out of there as needed.
It's just storage then, huh?
Well, it's storage, and if they need to use it for training purposes, they will. But right now, we are using it for storage.
Okay, well, I was wondering what was going on. I'd appreciate I'm sure they will be a better neighbor than what I had before.
Yes, they will be in and out as needed. But yeah, it's, safe that they're doing, what they're doing is safe. Nothing of concern.
Okay. All right. Okay. I thank you for your help. And Jacqueline, maybe you could either call me or get back with me or let me know, what the parking is.
Yes, I'll give you a call tomorrow, Paul.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Next person, please, Frank.
The next person is Deacon Robinson.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Okay. How you doing?
I'm well.
I'm calling in reference to low income and middle income housing. As we keep talking about you building these 60 house units over there on Trinity Place, that's low income. The 60 units are for low income. That's somebody making $25,000, $30,000 a year. But what about that person that's making $50,000, $60,000 a year? that's more middle income? And why can we get some of these buildings to accept a certain percentage of these housing?
That's a $1 million question. There's a lot involved here. That's because of the pilot program and the rehabilitation program for downtown. There's a lot of this in the beginning, Reverend, was done, and Deputy Mayor Canestrino spoke to it quite well before. Our city was in financial trouble, big time. The city bailed ourselves out by using the state-approved pilot systems to get these buildings in here. All right. In the beginning, I don't want to say, it was all about bringing revenue into the city so we could get ourselves out of trouble. All right. That was part of the plan. That plan worked. Now we're in phase 2. Now we're focusing, now that we have that part established. All right. Now we're focusing on affordable housing and the overlay zones and everything else. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of these developments, if not all of them, would not have gone up had they had to meet the affordable housing agreement, because the city would not benefit from the pilot money, because we would have to put so much money into the affordable housing, taxpayer money, that it would not work. It just wouldn't work. As it is, the building on State Street where the 60 units are going, you're looking at about $5.5 million of taxpayer money going into that. All right.
All of the buildings that they're doing, like over there where the old record newspaper company, and then they knocked down the restaurants over there and all of that stuff. They're building and they're making.
Sir, those are all pilots, and in order for that to work for them, they needed the pilot. They don't get the financing from the banks without that pilot. It just doesn't happen. Now, if you threw affordable housing into the mix, that's why they pay into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, because they know they can't make that work. It's not going to work. So,
well, a lot of towns used to take and sell their affordable housing to like Newark and Jersey City and other places for years. So that's been going on for years. But I know Marwa had affordable housing.
There's all different. There's federal HUD housing. There's Section 8 housing. There's fair share housing, which is lower in medium income. I mean, there's a lot of different types. But the projects we're working on now are, where our obligation is with fair share housing, and that's who we're working with to make sure this thing is settled by the end of this year.
I hope so, because I know fair share housing was the one that fought and got Mount Laurel.
Let me make a little analogy to you here. And you got to realize real estate people are business people, just like any car dealer. Let's use car dealers, right? All right. So a real estate guy, I'm building 200 units, but the state tells me out of that 200 units, I got to make 20 of them low income. All right.
Right.
So 20% less for him. All right. Now, you're a car dealer right next door. You never see this, the government getting, and here's my issue with affordable housing should be subsidized by the government, not by the municipality or the taxpayers. It should be done by the government, because that same apartment renter goes into a car dealer next door. He ain't getting 20% off because he makes less money, and nobody's subsidizing it. So, that's why I say it doesn't work without somebody subsidizing it, whether it's the city or or state or federal government. But these things it shouldn't be the state. I mean, it shouldn't be the city or the taxpayers. It should be the federal government should be subsidizing these housing projects, because it's a problem.
I think HUD, then maybe we need to go to HUD and find out what's possible.
But HUD won't work with these developers. Never happen. I wish they would. Never going to happen. But you got to look at it from a businessman's outlook. He's a business person just like anybody else, like a jeweler or a car salesman. And he's told he has to give back so much of his income when no other business person has to. So it's kind of an unfair situation to them too. And that's why they take a big risky gamble when they do projects like they're doing right now. But and by the grace of God, we're able to get this one developer to do this affordable housing project that we have coming up, and it's going to be beautiful. It's a beautiful building.
Okay. I still think it's something we need to be looking at.
We're
right.
looking at it. We're meeting our obligation where we're adding overlay zones with affordable housing is mandatory.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Everybody's hot on the trail. Oh, you should have made them put affordable housing in. Well, Main Street would not be what it is today. I can tell you that much. I can guarantee you. Nor would the sewer projects be done or all the other infrastructure work that we needed to get done. So it's very simple to say, oh, they should have made them put affordable housing in. It just doesn't work like that. I wish it did, but it doesn't.
Okay. Affordable housing is always a big thing. And we
Well-
need to tell our contractors, hey, it's affordable.
And we are moving full steam ahead with affordable housing. Hopefully, as these overlay zones start up with development, that's where it's mandatory, where at least 10% of the units have to be affordable housing.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Reverend. Nice to hear from you.
All right.
Next person, Frank.
So that was the last person that had their hand raised. I'm not sure if anybody else would like to speak, though.
Motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody comments from the council? And but before we start, Jacqueline, great job tonight. Thank you. I know you're dying to get home to see those babies, so.
Yeah.
Jackie, thanks so much for filling in again. We can't thank you enough for all you've done during this period. We're indebted to you. And this was a long night, so I'm going to try and be very quick because I'm going first, right? I just have to mention, how sad it was to learn of the passing of Fire Lieutenant Rice. And, just to all of his family and friends, just let them know that the thoughts and prayers of this council are with them. Just very quickly, I'll just do a couple of quick things as I try to just get the important issues that are on the agenda out there. We talked a lot here and there about infrastructure improvements. So just to go down the few that are on for tonight, one of them is moving forward with Johnson Park. And, as you see in there, actually it's an $11.5 million appropriation, but only looking to bond only $8 million. And again, that's made possible by the fact of what we see going on at Lot C. That's making up the difference there. And monies from other developments that's helping us close the gap towards moving our building department. So a lot of the things that you see happening in the downtown are really, really enabling us to move the city in the right direction. Also on there tonight was another bond to do work at the Atlantic Street Garage. That garage has been there for quite a while. Like everything, it needs maintenance, it needs updates, it needs to be, secure and safe. And the third thing on here tonight was the award of doing the sewer work that's leading up towards the Clay Street area. Again, once we've got the stuff done on Main Street, we got that straightened out. We're working the path through Fashimi Park. I know some people were here tonight talking about problems with sewage overflows. And yes, we're going to take another look at if that's still happening there. Mr. Cohen, we're going to take a look at that. But, one of the key areas identified was that Clay Street area. So enabling us to bid that today and get that work done is critical. And for those of you that might not have been on the committee of the whole, if you're interested in how we're accomplishing this and how debt management is critical, our CFO did a very nice presentation at the committee of the whole meeting, talking about how critical it is to do debt management and how that is what's the backbone of enabling us to do all of this work without negatively impacting our taxpayers. So it was a good presentation. Last but not least, all the fathers out there, I want to wish everyone a happy Father's Day. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
My condolences go out to the wife, kids, and family of Lieutenant Timothy Rice. As many of you know, I'm a lifelong resident of Hackensack, and I've been a member of the city council since 2013. Today is my next to last meeting as a councilman. And I want to start by saying thank you to my community for the opportunity to serve. As my last act as a councilman, I want to introduce an inclusionary zoning ordinance and mandate that all future residential housing development with 5 or more units set aside 20% of those units as affordable housing for our city's low to moderate income residents. However, I was informed last week it was not possible to introduce and open the ordinance for public comments today. So I'll leave it up to the next council to pass an IZO as soon as possible. It's been 58 years since Dr. King led the March on Washington for jobs and freedom. And I'm sure we all know his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Less known, however, is the showdown for nonviolence speech Dr. King planned to deliver in 1968 as part of the Poor People's Campaign. In it, Dr. King said, "We will place the problem of the poor at the seat of the government of the wealthiest nation in the history of mankind. It's that powerful refuse to acknowledge its debt to the poor. It will fail to live up to its promise to ensure life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to its citizens. If this society fails, I feel that we will learn shortly that racism is a sickness upon death. Today, it would take a Black family 228 years to achieve the wealth that the average white family has, according to the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. An inclusionary zoning ordinance is a good start to address this fundamental issue. And after everything that's happened in the last year or so with the COVID-19 pandemic, I can honestly say that my community is sick and tired of being sick and tired. Echoing the feelings and words of activist Fannie Lou Hamer, we all know there's a lot of work to be done in Hackensack, but it's never too late to do the right thing. Thank you, and special thank you to the work group of Hackensack and numerous other residents for raising this issue. I am pleased to see that many of the Hackensack Recreation Department programs are coming back slowly. Open gym, after school, has resumed. The splash pads, weather permitting, are open on the weekends and will be open 7 days a week starting June 24th until Labor Day. There are still a few spots left for the summer playground program. Please check the Hackensack Recreation Department for more details. This Saturday, June 19th, is Juneteenth Day, the city's inaugural Juneteenth flag raising, and a community day will be in Carver Park starting at 9 a.m. with the flag raising to take place at 10 a.m. There will be over 20 community service organizations out there. Vaccination mobiles, COVID testing, HIV testing. We still have work to do. Thank you for allowing me to represent you these last 8 years. With over 30 years of community service, I am honored to have served in this capacity, and I will continue to serve the community going forward. Signing off, always your dedicated community servant, leader, Dave Sims. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Leo?
It was really sad. My condolences to the family of Lieutenant Timothy Rice. I am glad that finally we're going to do the sport facility for the kids of the city of Hackensack, and that way they don't have to go to different places in the winter time and renting field, paying a lot of money to use it. We're gonna continue with the work in Catapa, weather permitting, they're gonna start the paving and with the different streets. And thank you for attending the meeting.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna start
Thank
off.
you, Jackie.
Yeah. So again, the loss of Lieutenant Timothy Rice was a big loss for the city. Affected me a little bit personally because after Timmy was diagnosed, he ended up down by me at Hackensack University Medical Center. And it was during COVID and there was no visiting. So Chief Freeman had called me and asked me if I could possibly stop in because he was feeling, you know, he knew he was sick and he was afraid and he had nobody to speak face to face with. So I was able to go do that with him and it was important for him and it ended up being just as important for me. This young man was a fighter and I didn't know him well, but I certainly now know what he was made of. And you talk about the bravest and the finest. He was all of that. He was, you know, steadfast, always trying to get better, no matter how many different things went wrong. And believe me, this family went through some real tough times during this, including COVID-related incidents, deaths in the family besides poor Timmy. It was a very tough 5 or 6 months this family went through. To be 42 years old and be taken away from your beautiful 13 and 11-year-old children and your wife is, you know, we ask God, and we always ask God why, and we don't know, but God got himself a winner this time. And rest in peace, Lieutenant Rice, and we'll miss you, but we'll be thinking of you often. Jim Mangan, great presentation tonight, and a great job of keeping our city finances in order. And with that, I need a motion to close the public. I mean, to close the meeting. Sorry.
That's okay. Offer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. See you in.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you,
Good night.
everybody. Bye.
Good night.